at stories making the headlines in Nigerian newspapers. I have with me in the studio in-house analyst Obani Akinwale and Dr. Dan Ekere from the University of Lagos. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us at TVC Breakfast.
Pleasure to be here.
All right, we head straight to the papers now, and I begin with the blueprint. Help end this siege. Zulum begs NASS. Says over 500,000 displaced in Monguno. Senate more small arms, light weapons commission. Let's revisit 2014 Comfort Gambari. That's the Minister of External Affairs speaking there. And to the Daily Times, Nigerians to experience more drop calls unless NCC says action of federal government, state governments inhibit optimal performance of service providers. Senate, Fashola berate Commission for defending telcos. To the front page of the leadership newspaper, proliferation of small arms behind killings. The Senate accuses security agencies of connivance. Bill to establish small arms commission passes second reading. On the front page of the Daily Trust, governance suffers in Taraba as Ishaq relocates to Abuja, signs 2020 budget in FCT. It is an impeachable offense, APC. Governor has done nothing wrong, PDP. And finally, on the front page of the News Direct, Senate investigates GSM operators over drop in voice calls to launch commission against illegal use of small arms, light weapons. All right, gentlemen, let's look at the story on the front page of the blueprint. The governor of Borno State asking, or practically begging the National Assembly to help end the siege, talking about insecurity in his state and even across the country. He says about 500,000 persons have been displaced in Monguno. I'll start with you, Obani Akinwale. Like we were saying behind the cameras, you served there and you had seen how these issues were building up to this time. Talk to us about this.
Yeah, while I was having my youth corps service in Monguno local government in Borno State, we already envisage this kind of event will play out. I recall vividly that a couple of times, the students of GSS Monguno, Ibn Fatwa High School Monguno attacked the coppers severally. And what were our offense is that you don't fight in the class. You have a community whereby you have 50, 60 pupils sitting on that tree, reciting Quran for 90 days in the sun, in the rain, and afterwards they will wash the slates, drink it. Where they were reciting those Qurans, you see dogs tied to those woods. The way they killed those dogs were inhuman, and you begin to see people seeing blood in broad daylight. Again, I witnessed a situation whereby politicians comes to offices on the 26th of every month to share salaries. In my local government, we have up to 200 cleaners that I've never cited. You will see the falling trees and what have you. Then again, if you look at the landmass, luckily in Monguno, we have a military barrack in Monguno that normally protect us. You hardly find any teacher around. It's always the corps members that take the pupils. Even during WAEC, we're the one that's standing for them. So you look at the level of poverty, and there is a mentality, I don't know how true it is, whereby the poor pray for the rich to continue to be rich. Anytime we have a gathering, a governor, a chairman of local government will provide the food. Everybody will sit together in a tray and eat. So if you're fortunate to stand up from a cafeteria, you have your food on the table to take water, those almajiris will rise to your food and they will take it. So as bad as it were, the orientation camp for us in Borno was just behind the Maiduguri International Hotel, and the people see how people show the luxury. Then for me, I've already said this is time bomb for this country. Now, looking at the people that the Borno governor is asking to do this, I can say it for free that this current crop of National Assembly will not do anything to fortify the security. And I have my reasons.
Oh, why is that?
If you have a Senate that over about a year ago approved 50 million naira to buy SUV for a country that is under police, that is a country that does not pay for the welfare of its military apparatus, for a country that is under-equipped. And to rub salt on our injury, the National House of Representatives just come up again with about 39.7 million to buy Camry 2020 for a country that still used equipment used in Sudan in 1979.
And these are the things that are fueling insecurity? Or that they are not focusing on
They are
the
not
main
interested
issues?
in this. See,
but these same people have asked that are championing the call for the rejigging of the security architecture. They are also pushing for community policing and are looking at amending the constitution.
And they are looking at arming the sergeant at arm, which tells you and I that their interest is to ensure that the high and mighty in the society remain to be safe. Let me shock you. 2 days ago, we heard that the assistant director at the villa was killed. Yesterday, the police has arrested the assailant. So are you telling me that you don't have intels to know how these Boko Haram people get funds? Are you telling me that all the 150 billion we budget for lawmaking every year, is it not enough to equip our military? Are you saying in saner climes the government will not have prioritized the short service method, ensuring that you enroll more people in military and intelligence? Are you not going to say that government will stop this idea of saying Boko Haram will convert? You can't convert something that cannot be converted. So when you have a National Assembly that is self-centered, that is not populace-driven, I appeal to Governor of Borno State. It's good enough they have civilian JTF in Borno already. What I would advise him to do is
that the civilian JTF is overwhelmed.
They should legalize it. But Borno has the population.
Let's bring Dr. Ekere in now, because we need to get his own perspective to this. Are you saying that he's saying that the National Assembly may not be able to carry out what the governor of Borno State is asking for? Do you share the same view?
Well, my worry is not about whether they will be able to carry out what the governor is. I'm concerned about whether the National Assembly can actually do anything to stop the insecurity challenge in the Northeast. But if the man is talking about legislation, I think that's where the National Assembly comes in here. So
he's asking that about 100,000 more security personnel be,
yeah,
recruited.
But they cannot be deployed by the National Assembly in the first instance. The National Assembly is not a commander-in-chief of the armed forces. They don't, I think what is expected of the National Assembly is to actually formulate the kind of policies that will enhance, proper policing of the state. Now, with respect to the issue of state police, I want to believe that the army of unemployed in that neighborhood, there would have been a provision for them if we had that possibility. So calling it civilian JTF is still like the ordinary person on the road. But if you give them, if you create a forum where they can be properly engaged as security operatives, then there will be proper training and they will be well funded.
That is your expectation of the government, of the governor now?
Not just the governor alone. The enabling environment is not there for him to do that. We have not been able to create that platform where states will now have their own security. So if the call is on the National Assembly to create that platform by way of amending the Constitution such that we now have state police, not the ones, I'm not talking, when I mean state police, I'm not talking about the IG deploying police to states. I'm talking about the state taking charge of its the security of its people. And then you now have the federal as a form of complement, if that is what the governor is talking about, yes. But otherwise, I think the call should be on the president to do what is needful, because he's the one who has the commanding authority over the armed forces. So if that is what the governor is calling out, then it will make a lot of meaning to me. Except he's saying that, okay, there are issues of funding and the rest, let there be approval. I have not seen specific, request or demand. But then looking at...
He is asking from the reports for more personnel.
With respect to the National Assembly, I mean. Yes. But I think the issue really lies
perhaps
with the executive.
Because the National Assembly is looking at amending the Constitution.
Exactly.
So he might be trying to push their focus to this issue.
Yes, exactly.
So what you ask yourself is, why do we have Presidential Initiative on Northeast? Why do we have Northeast Development Commission? Now, what is priority for Northeast? It's not you go and be building schools. It's to first ensure that the security of that place is in place. Yeah. You have Dangote Foundation, Bill Gates Foundation, World Bank, United Nations, all these agencies funding development in an insecure environment. It is in a saner climate, there is no development when there is no security. But in our own case, we are pumping money. You hear today IDPs are dying of cholera, they are dying of that. There's 1,000 people, there's 100,000 people there. Why can't NEDC, when they created Nigeria Data Development Commission, what was their priority? To take the boys away from the creek. When we now created NEDC, what are we doing? To go and build schools. For who? On which environment? So the question is that's why I'm saying that this current National Assembly does not understand priorities. The priority is that you have created NDC now, give money to the boys, create directors, create people to come and be sharing money.
Perhaps that's why he's also, pulling the attention.
There is nothing to call National Assembly for. National Assembly that somebody walked into and go and carry maize. National Assembly that's afraid to sit because they feel that they are not insecure. So what are you expecting for them to do? Like he mentioned, if the commander-in-chief home state is attacked, so I wonder what a chief security officer of a state would do, because President Buhari himself said, a presidency said that the attack that happened in Katsina is a retaliatory effort from the headers due to the incursion of the farmers. So it tells us the kind of the chief, the GCFR.
But that doesn't mean that we wouldn't be talking about finding solutions.
The solution is for Governor Zulum to go the route of Amotekun. Ask the State Assembly to legislate on improving on the security. See, creating jobs for, when I was in Borno State, one of the core members that we served together, he was a graduate and he said, as a graduate, he will be earning salary as a chairman of local government. While we're serving. So he said, he's like a king in their town. So if you need to prioritize that, so they ask you to go to school so that when you come back, you get a status of almost a director. So why not say the civilian JTF legislate in Borno House of Assembly to ensure that they are enabled to carry arms? Not only to carry arms, we have chiefs, we have emirs, we have people. The way the system is structured is like a monarch system of governance, the emirs. So you can actually say, this person stays in Marte, this person stays in Abadam, this person stays in Mongunu, then you can secure your area. So when there are infiltration, people will know. That is one. Two, when we have problem in Bayelsa, the military deploy the best tactics to wipe out the entire, I'm not saying they should wipe out Borno State. Is it difficult for us to map out and just keep wasting and wasting and wasting resources?
Dr. Kerry, your final words on
Yes, I am of the view that the option of the civilian JTF should be embraced by way of, giving some legal, strength.
Backing.
Yeah, so that you can engage more people and equip them better. Now, but the National Assembly, on a more serious note, should not just be running away from threat of attack and the rest. They should provide the enabling environment for this land called Nigeria to be able to protect itself, because as long as you leave security of lives and property to the national police without, any consideration for state police the way it is being contemplated, I have a strong feeling that this challenge will remain for a long time.
All right. We hope that the National Assembly is listening and will take proper steps to address this. Thank you, gentlemen, for your contribution.
Thank you for the
Go to the newspapers this morning. Stories making the headlines in Nigerian newspapers. I have with me in the studio in-house analyst Obani Akinwale and Dan Ekere from the University of Lagos. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for talking to us.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll first of all look at the Blueprint newspaper, and it says here, help end this siege. Zulum begs National Assembly. Says over 500,000 displaced in Mongunu. Senate moves Small Arms, Light Weapons Commission. Let's revisit 2014 confab, says Gambari. Okay. The Daily Times says here Nigerians to experience more drop calls unless, as according to the NCC, it says action of the federal government, state government inhibits optimal performance of service providers. Senate, Fashola Beret Commission for defending telcos. The Leadership newspaper says proliferation of small arms behind killings, as according to the Senate, accuses security agencies of connivance. Bill to establish Small Arms Commission passes second reading. The Daily Trust says governance suffers in Taraba as Ishako relocates to Abuja. Signs 2020 budget in FCT. It's an impeachable offense, says APC. Governor has done nothing wrong. The News Direct says here, Senate investigates GSM operators over drop in voice calls to launch commission against legal use of small arms and light weapons. That's in the News Direct. So we will stay with the story in the Daily Times. It says Nigerians to experience more drop calls and less, that's according to the NCC. And it says federal action of federal government, state government inhibits optimal performance of service providers. Senate, Fashola Beret Commission for defending telcos. Gentlemen, I'm sure you've experienced drop calls recently. So what do you think of this?
I'm not sure the word recently is
It's over
the
time.
perfect word. I would also say that it has become a culture. And I actually sympathize or empathize with the telecom operators. Nigeria is one of the most difficult places to run your business. You discover that most of the telecom masts you have, they will have 2 generating sets that works 1 to 12. You discover that it's only this country that you don't have a transatlantic fiber optics that cross across the north, the east, the west. You discover it's only in this country that you have an unregulated importation of equipment. You discover it's only in this country that most government agencies that uses telecommunication facilities will not pay. So you find out in this country is the only place where the telecom operators have their own security. So you look at the cost of doing business for operators and you find out that it's a very tough terrain. And unfortunately, for you to, as a business owners, to apply for loan in this country, people rather prefer to go and hire to collect loans from foreign countries. So it is not a very good environment for them. Then again, government policies and regulations are not in favor. See, let's be fair with ourselves. Our telecommunication space in Nigeria is dominated by Huawei. And what it means is that if care is not taken, the next global war will be Intel war. That is information intelligence war. Now we are mocking, or sort of we are challenging all our information from Nigeria to Shenzhou or to Beijing, China. And these people have to grapple with all these things. You don't manufacture anything in Nigeria for telecom. So everything you need to do, even as bad as mass, as small as mass as it is, you need to import some of the metals used to produce those masks from abroad. And at the end of the day, the cost you pay on tariff of importing those masks, sometimes as high as 25,000, 30,000. Meanwhile, the cost of importing a fabricated mask from abroad, the cost of duty on them is about 5%. So the operators are right to say that the environment is not encouraging. And like I said, if the Minister of Works is saying the NCC are realists, they also have competent engineers, they have people within the industry, they are board of members of those products before joining them, and they are also private operators. They know what's obtainable in the industry. So for me, as much as we have a government that does not have a policy, and it has to boil down to the kind of laws we have in this country, the kind of policy we come up with this country, how we play our policy in international society, how much do we follow the ITU regulations, how much do countries like Nigeria support. Go to a country like Kenya, like every street you have a fiber to home. Go to you have Safaricom, you have Kenya Telecoms, you have a lot of them, and there is regulation, there is licensing. But in Nigeria, everybody go on licensed spectrums. To get licensed spectrum, it's like going to the camel's eyes. Even getting it is going to be the high and mighty society. So I sympathize with them, and as long as we don't have government that prioritize customers' rights, we'll continue to get drop costs and nothing will happen.
All right, so let's hear from Dan Akeri.
Thank you. What it means is that it's a deliberate plot, because we are not the ones who are creating problems for the telecom operators. No, we are not.
What are we creating? Profits?
It is profit they make from us. So why would they want to visit, the crime or the evil of whatever that they are experiencing? I mean, for us to use their facilities, we pay. And it should be such that what we use is what we pay for. This, you see, because for quite a long time, you make a call, I'll be experiencing it, and unfortunately, everybody you complain to is having the same challenge. So
everyone has the same challenge. Like you said, it's a culture now.
It becomes so helpless. And, there are issues of, the working environment, and yet they are declaring profits. Are you following? Some even broke even within the same year and the rest of investment. With a very strange thing that doesn't happen in any other terrain. And yet they keep complaining. So my challenge is why they will visit that particular thing on the consumers. We are not the ones who are responsible. You saw the environment before you came in to do business. You knew how in fact, some of them even evade taxes. So you see, an environment that has a challenge of this kind that you come into, it has its benefits, it has its own disadvantages as well. Just like you have challenge of infrastructure, the same way you are able to evade some taxes and the rest. So don't visit that evil on us. I think it will get to a point that the people will react, and the reaction will be very unfriendly.
With this, who's supposed to take the brunt of the whole thing? Because
it's the government.
Okay.
Obviously,
but how will the government take the brunt of this?
How do you let me give an example. If you want to set up masts in TVC today, you go to Lagos State Infrastructure to collect permits. You go to NCAA to collect permits. You pay Omonile. you pay for your electricity, you pay for the masts. Now, after doing that, if you are going to use licensed spectrum, you pay NCC. There are regulatory frameworks you pay regularly on power and what have you. Now, you have a government whereby there is something
Sorry,
they
just
call...
to add, even the generators are part of it. To supply diesel to them, you pay those
yes.
boys.
So you now have a government that doesn't have a policy that says, see, there's something we call signal quality factor in engineering. There is a minimum threshold that you must achieve for every customer. And there is no way people at NCC, people at NIA do not know how call drops regularly on Nigerian switches. So that's why I say it's government. So if government says you only have a channel that can handle 10 million subscribers, you are now having 40 million subscribers. So what it means is that you are doing what they call collision or jamming the channel. So how is government rolling out these numbers? What is the required number of cells per area? So how many cells do you have? And now we are now doing 4G, 5G, 3G. Do we have infrastructure to support that? Why is government rolling out licenses for people to continue to expand when the infrastructure to take these services are not expanding? The question again is that when these telecos go bad, for example, if you go out of the country, you say you do roaming. So perhaps one of the telecos in Nigeria has problem. Is there possibility of them migrating their services to another telecos and pay? Look at airlines. You can fly KLM and they have, like for example, in the news now, Qatar Airways is doing Rwanda Airways with British Airways. So why don't we have that kind of exchange between our telecos? You ask yourself. The ICRC, Infrastructure Commission, says the Glow of these ones are hoeing. MTN of these ones are hoeing. Airtel are hoeing. Everybody is hoeing. Who are they hoeing? Government. They are hoeing themselves interconnectivity fee. So the problem is government. If there is no regulation, there is no sanction. You remember the case of MTN? They bring bilateral talk. Will that have happened in UK and they said, okay, come and pay anything you can pay and go. So the buck stops at the government. We are paying. If you look at your messages now, you see 4 naira 10 kobo, including VAT of 7.5.
Yes.
Government can do 7.5 tax, but government is not concerned whether you are able to establish that business, you are able to establish that contract. So the problem still lies with our regulations, with our regulators, with our policy makers. And I keep saying it, until we turn our National Assembly to places where you have professionals, not retired politicians, you continue to have this kind of law.
All right.
Because what people, what the problem we are facing is that the professionals are not allowed to make laws. And even when they get there, the godfather will say, this is my interest, stop it.
Let me hear finally from Dan now.
Yeah, I think that we need to up our game, and the government must sit up. It's not all about taxation. You know, tax should be, for you to make that tax, what you are, placing the tax on must be available. So it means that the costs need to be there for you to be able to even make this money. Now, if these facilities are not there, chances are that you will be able to do business. And if you are unable to do business, because tax is based on consumption. Yeah. So if at the end of the day this thing is not there, the operators pack up, you end up having a challenge with your finances. I expect that the government should sit up, but at the same time, I want to tell the telecom operators that we are not the reason for their whatever. We should not be exploited.
All right.
Yes.
How many SIM cards do you have, doctor?
Yeah, that's supposed to have more than a certain number.
More than one. Exactly, more than one.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for talking to us on this.
Time to take a look at stories making the headlines in Nigerian newspapers. I have with me in the studio in-house analyst Obani Akinwale and Dr. Danny Kere from the University of Lagos. Gentlemen, good morning and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
All right, we head straight to the papers now, and I begin with the blueprint. Help end the siege, Zulum begs National Assembly, says over 500,000 displaced in Mongono. Senate more small arms, light weapons commission. Let's revisit 2014 confab. Gambari, that's the Minister of External Affairs, speaking there. And to the Daily Times now, Nigerians to experience more drop calls and less NCC. Says actions of federal government, state governments inhibit optimal performance of service providers. Senate, Fashola berate Commission for defending telcos. And to the leadership newspaper, proliferation of small arms behind killings. Senate accuses security agencies of connivance. Bill to establish small arms commission passes second reading. And to the Daily Trust now, governance suffers in Taraba as Ishaku relocates to Abuja, signs 2020 budget in the FCT. It is an impeachable offense, APC. Governor has done nothing wrong, PDP. And to the front page of the Nigerian News Direct, Senate investigates the GSM operators over drop in voice calls to launch commission against illegal use of small arms, light weapons. And finally, on the front page of the Nation newspaper, Disco's licenses likely for revocation over poor power. Problem of electricity supply is distribution. Minister, FEC to decide firm's fate. All right, gentlemen, this story on the front page of the Leadership newspaper, still talking insecurity. The Senate is coming up with a commission that has passed a second reading to establish a bill to establish a small arms commission to tackle issues of proliferation of small arms, because the Senate has said that this is one of the reasons why we see the spate or the rise in killings. And we also saw that from the presidency, a spokesperson saying that the proliferation of arms and the issues in Libya is what also resulted to the number of killings across the country and insecurity. This issue has been on the front burner for a while now. Do you think that this bill to establish a commission will be the way forward if we are to tackle this issue? I'll start with you, Dr. Kerry.
The first question I will ask is, what would the commission do? Is it to mop up the arms,
to
or
establish
go to
the link where these arms are coming in, identify those that are in business when it comes to the proliferation of arms, and perhaps also look for punishments and all of those?
It's good to create, the government's, one of the policies is to create jobs. And I think that would just create some,
For the boys.
Yeah, otherwise, would the commission go to, it's very funny, because already you saw how practically everywhere, they are everywhere now. Are they going to do mop up or just to prevent more from coming in? Now, those who are going to do this prevention, are you telling me that there is no agency responsible for that today? Meaning that I can just carry arms and nobody will ask me questions. Those who ask these questions.
Who will license.
So do we need commission first before that is done? But the point is that Senate is the one who raising this issue, and they are saying that the army or the armed forces, some of them, yes, there's a connivance. They couldn't mention any. What about the politicians themselves, the senators and the rest? Their supporters. Is it the army? Okay, perhaps they work with the army to get them for their boys or something.
I don't know.
No, I'm only saying because for Senate to say that the army is conniving
perhaps
with
intelligence reports.
Yeah, let the intelligence report always point at somebody. They should be able to mention names. All right. So if the Senate is making this kind of allegation, I expect that it should be something that they will be able to deal with to the bottom. But we do know equally. I mean, from the past experiences, we do know that evil politicians have some of these guys.
Those are waiting allegations.
No. I mean, we saw what happened in those days, the days of the Asari Dokubos and the rest of them, how eventually it metamorphosed into ethnic militia or Niger Delta, whatever. There were issues about how government officials supported them, politicians in particular. And now, even the one of Senate is a weighty allegation too. Have they proven it? So let's look at things that could work. Yeah, it is true that a lot of there's proliferation of weapons, but I doubt if it is a commission that will deal with it. We don't even have the will to deal with it because we are part of those who are using it. Those of us who, no, the people are part of those who are using them. So at the end of the day, at the time you bring these guys to do some dirty jobs for you, after doing that, they don't get, compensated or don't get quite enough what they wanted to. They turn these arms to other uses because the gun you are seeing and other arms could be used for positive purposes, just like they can be used for negative purposes.
Absolutely.
In fact, a technology generally is a double-edged
sword.
Yes. So we must deal with it. The first thing is that why do people engage in all these activities? And I think that is what these lawmakers, let's make laws for good governance. Let's be part of the good governance. Because as you can't be making laws for others and you go against them. All right? So if we make laws and we are seen to be part of the laws, then the other people will follow. Because at the end of the day, what these guys have found is that with guns and the rest, you can kidnap people, you can do all of that, and you can live the life that the senators and the rest are living. Those in government positions are living.
All right, let's get Obani Akinwale's perspective to this. He's been shaking his head, and I wonder what could be on his mind, or you have a different view.
You know, when you're in Lagos and they say you enter one chance, you know what it means. We have seriously entered one chance with this Senate. You want to proliferate small arms. What is the ratio of police to the citizens? The headline this morning just told us that the governor of Borno State is asking for 100,000 soldiers to be able to rout the insurgency. You have created Ministry of Social Development and whatever. Poverty levels keep increasing. You have created Niger Delta Development Corporation. There are still no roads in the south, in Niger Delta. You have created NEDC. Poverty level at the northeast is keep increasing. You just set up an interim committee to look at the books of NDDC. You have explored that the senators, the big boys in the government are the ones siphoning this money. You look into political rallies, you see boys carrying guns, carrying cutlasses, which were not bought from the shelf. And yet, these politicians will come back to us and tell us that you want to proliferate or you want to mop up arms. Mop up arms from where? From who? Nigeria is the kind of government whereby the only way you can make boys to hit is to create commissions and missions. Do we have enough custom officers to police our borders? Do we have enough police officers to police the Nigerian internal security? Do we have enough people at the airport, at the seaport, to curtail entrance? You recall vividly about 2 years ago, they intercepted some number of rifles at the border. The nomadism that we have border with Niger Republic, we have border. There was a story done by Sumner Sambo, if I could remember vividly, about how they see some helicopters, I think in Zamfara, dropping weapons for people in the bush. So you ask yourself these questions that, is the commission now going to be stopping those helicopters or what have you? Is the commission going to stop the source of funding for Boko Haram from bringing in equipment? Is the commission going to go to the Kaduna forest and ensure that the boundaries are not coming in?
We have to do
what
something.
We need to start from is simple. We need enough policing. We need enough military personnel. We need enough custom officers. And there are laws established this union. What are the population of the country? In senile crimes, what is the ratio of police, military, custom to the citizens? In Nigeria, what is the number? How many Lagos, for example, has a population of almost 20 million. You don't have up to 1 million police officers. So how do you want to police Lagos? Maiduguri or Borno State has a landmass, I mean, has a landmass of, we're told, of Belgium. How do you want to mop up arms in those areas that are deserts, that you can build underground tunnels and what have you? Even in Abuja, as small as Abuja is, with all the security apparatus, have we been able to mop up the ammunitions, and do we have enough security? Sincerely yours, it is high time we now begin to look at how do we ensure that we don't get ourselves into all these one chance lawmakers, to ensure that the laws are there. We need to fortify the law. When last did you hear Nigerian Army recruits? When last did you hear that Nigerian police recruit in hundreds and thousands? When last did you hear custom recruit? The only thing you hear is that some senator's son has been given appointment, some lawmaker's son has been given appointment, and yet we are carrying off insecurity. Don't forget, this
we are looking at recruiting about 10,000 police officials. 10,000
to Lagos, say for example, Alimosho local government with 10,000 police officers do.
I'm just trying to remind
I'm only telling you that 10,000.
We are looking at recruiting about 10,000 of them.
If we have invested $14 million that we're going to give to Japanese government to import 2020 model of Camry to recruit people, let's look at the number of mouths we are going to feed. Right. Let's look at how we're going to reduce poverty level, not coming to front pages and saying things that are not tenable. When you create this commission, what is the number of workforce? How are they going to work? Even EFCC will tell you that in their office they are short of staff, they are able to prosecute this case, they will leave it. Then you now create that commission, people will collect salary, and at the end of the day, they will like be a tiger in the paper that cannot bite, that cannot move. Enough of all this. We have enabling laws. The lawmakers should ensure that they should do proper strategy. We are not dumps.
Obani Akinwale, let's leave it here now.
Yeah,
thank you for speaking with us.
The problem really is that of the personnel to enforce.
All right. Dr. Danekere, thank you so much for speaking with us on the news.